every single episode. They're getting more and more creative. The little music videos that they're having at the start of each episode is fire.
Maybe take the approach of this one, going by the episodes one at a time.
Yeah, let's do it.
I can read you a summary of the episode and we can talk about it. So this second arc of Arcane we're talking about starts with Season 2, Episode 4.
I feel like these 3 episodes for this second arc is kind of the Jinx arc. We got a lot of Jinx. And I know you're a big fan of that because she's your favorite character. Yeah. And every time she's on screen, you're locked in.
If I didn't like him before, after this episode, I hate it.
Really?
The end of this episode, do you not? He ruins everything.
He does.
That's all he does every time he's in the show.
Not what his motivations were on this episode, really. Welcome to Backseat Directing.
We talk about movies, TV shows, comics, and more.
We're your hosts,
Andrew
and Aaron.
We put out new episodes every Monday and Thursday.
And today we're going over Act 2 of Season 2 of Arcane.
3, 2, 1,
action. Man, this is the 3rd week in a row that we've talked about Arcane, and I'm loving it.
I'm here for it.
Let's go.
You get an idea of how much that we love Arcane.
Dude, it just is so good, and it looks phenomenal. Every single episode, they're getting more and more creative. The little music videos that they're having at the start of each episode is fire.
Yeah.
It's so good. Today when I was working out, I put on an Arcane playlist on the TV, so I had all the music videos going on with it. It got me going.
I've been listening to the soundtrack nonstop. Do you have a favorite song from the soundtrack?
Right now it's Paint the City Blue.
Paint the Town Blue?
Paint the Town Blue,
Mine's Sucker.
Yeah.
I think it's by Marcus King, but Paint the Town Blue I think is, I don't know how to say her name, but it's like Ashinitaka or something like that.
It's in one of the recent episodes. I think 4 or 5.
Yeah, it's the title of episode 4.
Yeah, so that's the song that it was.
And it's at like the opening. That song is so good as well. Yeah. That's my second favorite one.
Yeah.
Paint the Town Blue, riots all
It's good. All of them are so good though.
Yeah. I mean, everything on the soundtrack is so great. I've been going back and listening to Season 1 soundtrack as well. They just do such an incredible job. And when you hear the song rolling in, like as a fight scene, is the intensity's building up, you kind of sit up more in your chair. You know, it's happening. Right. Something's about to happen. It's such an ingrained part of the show in a way that it only is in certain really select incredible media, because they really understand how music is tied to like our subconscious in such a deep way.
It really helps you remember what's going on, right? Like it helps you remember these epic fights or these little cinematic intros that they have, because you're like connected to these songs. You're bopping to them after you even watched the film, so it sticks with you.
Well, that's a powerful marketing tool too, because every time I listen to these songs, I think about Arcane and the great scenes in Arcane. So it's like a full circle moment, and it's also such a beautiful thing when you can close your eyes and still feel the emotionality of a scene in a visual medium. In my opinion, to have that level of thought into the sound design and music is next level. And they've, in my opinion, I want to hear your thoughts on this too. I think they've continued to up the game as the show has gone on. Like not only from arc 1 to arc 2, but from season 1 to season 2. I feel like they've continued to up the game in terms of their animation and the quality of storytelling and character development. I feel like it's only gotten better. And I would say these last 3 episodes are my favorite episodes of the show, bar none.
Yeah, I agree. It's continuing to climb. IMDb agrees it's continuing to climb in their ratings. Episode 6, I think, has a 9.8 on IMDb, which is crazy. The show as a whole is in the 9s, I believe. It's ranked in, the top 20s of all TV shows. That's crazy.
Still, if you can believe it, it's number 2 on Netflix's top watched right now.
Get out of here.
Yeah,
Get out of here.
It's behind Cobra Kai.
Jeez, that's crazy.
I knew you were going to say it. But it's crazy to me because they're 2 of the biggest shows that Netflix has, Cobra Kai and Arcane, along with Stranger Things and a handful of others, Ginny and Georgia. But I feel like maybe it's just my echo chamber, my FYP, but I feel like Arcane is making a lot bigger waves in the community than Cobra Kai is.
I didn't even know Cobra Kai was out again, besides seeing it ranked number 1 on Netflix.
But they're also doing the thing with Cobra Kai where they release it in chapters. So
Yeah.
that's probably maybe that's why they just released the next arc of
But I
Cobra
haven't
Kai
seen
2.
anything on TikTok or Instagram or anything. It's
Not
just
a lot.
all
I've
been
seen a little.
Arcane on my FYP as well.
On the Mike Tyson Jake Paul fight, the 2 stars of Cobra Kai were on there, sitting in the audience, like because they
Yeah.
had a bunch of promotional Netflix stuff. They had the Suicide. I always say that Squid Game because it's like a dark story. I always think Suicide Squad, but the Squid Game like little henchmen were sitting in the crowd, and they also showed Ralph Macchio and William Zabka, the stars of Cobra Kai. So
Nice.
that's smart marketing on Netflix part.
Yeah, and then they also showed Arcane too, but then the broadcast kept glitching out.
It's because of Jinx.
Yeah, exactly.
They're like, we need a reason to. We got a reason for all this glitching. It's Jinx buffering.
So a few minutes ago, I said that this is our 3rd week in a row reviewing Arcane. So if you haven't seen it already and you want to, we did a full recap on season 1 2 weeks ago. Last week we talked about Act 1 of season 2, and then now today we're going over Act 2. So if you want to check those out and you haven't already, do so either before or after you watch this episode. We want to thank you so much for tuning in, and make sure you hit that subscription bell and
notification button.
Boom, there it is.
And this likely will not be the last time we talk about Arcane, because we still have the 3rd act to go over, which hopefully is building at the same rate. By the time we're done, we'll have a 4-part series on Arcane.
Boom.
You know, people are saying it's the next big thing since the 4-movie quadrilogy of Planet of the Apes.
Wow.
That's what I heard somebody say just outside.
That's great. Just outside my house.
Yeah,
right
exactly.
That's crazy.
They're talking about backseat directing.
I don't even know what I was going to say next. I had something lined up, and that was out of left field, man.
But I want to maybe take the approach of this one, going by the episodes one at a time.
Yeah, let's do it.
I can read you a summary of the episode, and we can talk about it. So this second arc of Arcane we're talking about starts with season 2, episode 4, called Paint the Town Blue. It's rated a 9.3. And the description says, as rumors of Jinx's return swirl, Mbessa pursues her target with renewed enthusiasm. Jinx and Savika go undercover and into the belly of the beast.
Dun, dun, dun.
So the overall plot of this episode is that they do like these hype montages at the beginning of every episode, which honestly, a lot of the story is kind of swirled up into those montages very quickly, and a lot of time passes in those montages. So if you're not paying close attention and absorbing the little visual story that they're painting out for you, almost comic strip style, then you will miss a lot. So what happens in the beginning of episode 4 is they show how the enforcers, empowered by Mbessa's Noxian forces, start like taking over the streets of Zon, and so like they're enacting martial law and clamping down on the Zonites. But people are building up Jinx as like the savior of Zon. They're building her up to be this like messiah for Zon and this hero. And where we start off with Jinx in that episode is she's kind of like hiding in her old haunt. It looks like some kind of like jet engine she's hiding in with a giant propeller. She's staying there with Isha, just living her happy life, trying to stay away from all the expectations, stay away from all of the conflict and bigger problems of the world. And she seems like she wants to go back to kind of where she started. She just wants to have a family, have a sister, and just be away from all of the violence that's out there.
And that's because of what happened in episode 3, right? She's kind of conflicted with her battle with Vi.
Yeah, I think that I don't know how the best way to describe her motivations is, but in episode 3, she was kind of taunting the enforcers and like drawing them into a fight. And then when she had that climactic battle where Caitlyn almost shot Isha, I think maybe Jinx was really scared of the idea of losing someone again. And especially the idea of losing Isha, and probably as Savika as well, who she's now really close with. I just think that she has that constant nagging fear that we saw in the beginning of season 1 where everyone close to her dies. And so her retreating and hiding probably mostly has to do with that and not wanting to lose anyone else, because that's kind of her curse.
Yeah, definitely. I feel like these 3 episodes for this second arc is kind of the Jinx arc. We got a lot of Jinx. And I know you're a big fan of that because she's your favorite character. And every time she's on screen, you're locked in. But to start this act off, we see Vi kind of in the opposite. She's also isolating, but she's kind of spiraling downhill as Jinx is kind of recovering in a way.
Which that goes into episode 5, Blisters and Bedrock. Because interestingly, we have like a cool parallel here again, where the first arc of season 2, no Jinx, all Vi. And then the second arc of season 2 with episode 4 starts with all Jinx, no Vi. We have literally no Vi in episode 4 until she shows up at the opening of episode 5.
I guess you're right. Yeah. There's a
But so I think that is what's
yeah.
going on simultaneously. This is what we can assume, right?
Right. Are you sure she's not in episode 4?
Yeah, I commented on it at the end of episode 4 when I was watching it with Sierra. Because the opening of episode 5 is another one of those musical montages. And the montage is of her in the ring. It starts with her.
Okay. Yeah.
Saying her hair is dying.
Yeah, they have a picture of her on IMDb that has like all the makeup and stuff for episode 4.
That's a trick.
So that they got me there.
That's a trick, dude.
Yeah.
I see that too. Yeah, you're right.
I watched all 3 episodes today, so for me it was just a movie. I watched all of them back to back to back, so they all kind of blend together. So, what else happens in episode 4?
So in episode 4, Savika is trying to draw Jinx out to be the symbol that people want her to be, because Savika wants to gather the underground forces to fight.
Yeah. This episode was cool.
It's so good. I don't. It's hard for me to even pick which one of the 3 is my favorite because they're all so good. We get those awesome POV shots from the point of view of Warwick as he's like werewolfing out, running down the street
In a different animation style.
Yeah, it's redded out. Man,
it's kind of like stop motion almost.
Yeah, it's jumpy. It's like he's seeing at like a lower frame rate also, which it's cool. It's almost like the Alien perspective that they do in Alien 3, David Fincher's Alien. It works a lot better here, in my opinion. I do not like Alien. I don't like Alien 3, but man, like. They do such a good job of building anticipation because what happens is Savika draws them out, she gets a crowd together to have a rally, but one of the people gets interrogated and gets the location beat out of them, one of the Jinx supporters, and so the Noxian forces show up and they kidnap everybody, which includes Singed, which includes Savika, and Isha, who is also at the rally, the little kid, but Jinx is not captured because she does not attend the rally. Savika barely makes it away with her life. She goes to find Jinx and is like, they got Isha, and Jinx is like, let's
go.
Autobots, roll out, that's my homie. And
because she didn't want to be that symbol of hope.
Yeah, they kind of force, it's interesting irony because the Piltover forces kind of forced her hand, where if they didn't take someone she cared about, the Zonites wouldn't have this figure to look up to because she just wouldn't be there.
Right.
But they took someone she cared about.
She was also not really wreaking havoc either.
Yeah,
so
she was hiding.
But now she's back.
She only stepped into that role because of Isha.
Right.
Which I love how much she cares about Isha. These 3 episodes, Isha even came up higher on my favorite characters list. And it's always interesting when you have a character who doesn't speak. It endears you to them in a sense because you feel like you're watching them more closely because you aren't listening to them, and I feel like you connect with them on that level.
You'd probably get along really well with someone who doesn't speak.
Because I just do all the talking.
Exactly.
I understand. I knew exactly where you were going with that as soon as you started talking. You're honestly talking a little too much this episode.
I'm sorry. I know.
Just more listening.
Yeah, okay.
But I think that the next thing that happens in the episode is they're all captured and taken to a prison, and Besso's also there, and Jinx and Savika are doing this kind of stealth mission, sneak in and break everybody out. But Singed also has his own plot line, because Singed has morphed Vander into this werewolf creature that we now call Warwick from the games, and he uses his blood to have the Hound track him. And so when he sees Isha scared, he tells her this little line where Singed is like, "I'll tell you a secret, child. We won't be here long." And I was like, oh my God, he's cooking. It's so hard for me to want to be with the Topsiders when all the most interesting characters are in Zon.
Really? You've never said that before. So you
You surprised?
Whoa!
But Singed is so interesting in these 3 episodes. I love him. He's so cool. I like when they bleed the Undercity characters into the Topside stories. Like Singed being with Mbessa makes that more interesting because I'm so curious about his motivations, what happened to his daughter, and then him creating Warwick, him creating Shimmer is all very fascinating. And then what else happens? So they break into the prison. They're setting everyone free. But
who breaks into the prison?
Jinx and Savika break in, and they're saving everybody. But when they've let everybody out, that's when the Warwick Hound shows up and is just obliterating people, like on Omni-Man level, just a swipe into a smear of blood on the floor.
Before we get into talking about details of Warwick, I want to talk about how cool was it when Jinx was in the Enforcer armor.
Yes.
And she's at the desk, and she's got her prisoner with her, and then what's-her-face walks by.
And Bessa walks by.
And Bessa walks
by. You
by.
can see Jinx is so aware of Bessa's presence, and she like puts her hand on her gun and is getting ready to cock it, the hex core gun.
Yeah.
Like she's on edge, you know. And Bessa's a force. She's noticeable in her room.
Dude, she's huge.
A big presence. But she somehow doesn't notice despite seeing Jinx's blue hair.
She had it up. It wasn't hanging out.
They highlight that she can see it hanging out of the mask. Like they zoom in on it.
I remember that.
I'll show you.
Okay.
Trust me. Have faith.
Okay.
But I mean, there's probably other people in their world that have blue hair, but
I mean, she looked a lot smaller
yeah,
than most of the Enforcers.
you can't stop. She's a busy lady. She's moving around, moving, shaking,
Yeah.
running the government,
Yeah.
taking over governments.
Right.
I also think Savika would be a high priority target that you would be interested to see. I feel like maybe you know who she is. She should be up on the board underneath the picture of Jinx in my eyes. I was sad to see her lose the arm. I thought she had an upgraded arm that had like this green crystallic look to it. Sierra told me that it looked like the same arm, but I thought she had an upgraded arm before it was chopped off. I have to go back and check the footage
Well,
on
it
that.
looked like that arm that Jinx gave her in, what, episode 2?
I thought it was changed, but that's just, I could be wrong. So let us know in the comments.
Trust me.
That's what Sierra said too.
Yeah.
And Warwick shows up and tears everyone to pieces, but we get such great endings to every one of these 3 episodes, and this episode ends with Warwick fighting Jinx, and right as Warwick's about to tear into her, he sees this flash of powder as a kid, and you hear Vander's voice, the voice actor for Vander.
No way.
He's like, powder. And you're like, no.
But they didn't reveal in that episode that it was Vander, unless if you kind of already knew.
Yeah, or if you recognize his voice.
the voice. But the voice still kind of sounded raspy.
He has a natural gruffness to his voice, but it was enhanced for...
Yeah, it kind of sounded like the blend between the two,
Yeah.
the creature and Vander.
It's like the Venom Tom Hardy voice.
Right.
It's like hearing Tom Hardy's voice inside of it.
It's a lot better than that. But.
Okay, yeah, fair enough. But it's the concept.
Yeah.
But that's where we end that episode. And we get so many good animation moments. Like every second of the fight with Warwick and Jinx is so sick. And the music in that fight is awesome. That is so cool. She's firing the Hex Tech gun at him, which just electrocutes him and slows him down for a second. She's pulling off these amazing split-second dodges, and she's kind of got the super speed quality where she like teleports almost. She zips forward. I'm imagining that probably harkens back to her in the game somehow. She probably has some kind of dash ability in the game because it seems like Tracer in Overwatch. It seems like a game type ability.
Right. What do you think? I've noticed in this episode a lot for the fights and stuff. There was a lot of kind of freezed frame where they're slow motion kind of moving through, and then it like really fast cuts, and then freeze frame. They didn't show a lot of the fight itself through like actual movements and punches and them shooting the guns. What do you think of that?
I think that it really worked in this instance, especially like we were sticking with Isha a lot during the fight too, where we would see Isha's face or like Savika pulling Isha away and over the shoulder kind of view of the fight through like the view of a piece of hallway. And I feel like it really resonated like emotionally, especially for me, because I was aware that it was Vander the whole time. So I feel like I was more caught up in the emotionality of the fight than the actual choreography.
Yeah. It adds to the suspense too of not having a good full look on this creature that they're fighting too.
To reveal the face, because the face definitely has Vander qualities to it.
Right. Once you realize who it is, you can kind of piece it together a little bit. I unfortunately did know that it was Vander because of you.
You're
I
welcome.
feel like I would have preferred not to have known and would have been surprised. But it is what it is. Thanks to you for ruining that for me.
Hey, if I got to do research for the show and have it spoiled for me, then you got to at least hear it.
Fair enough, I guess. So moving on to episode 5. This one is called Blisters and Bedrock.
Which we hear 500 times in the episode. They say blisters and bedrock so many times, at least 10 times.
And this is the one where we see Vi kind of in the opposite. So we had Jinx kind of rising into this hero, and we have Vi kind of slipping and falling back.
Well, it's the complete crossing of trajectories of these two characters, which you might have said earlier, but you said she's coming up, she's turning into a hero, and Vi is going down into the mental instability and decline that we saw from Jinx in the previous season, where she was just so unstable. Vi's falling into alcoholism and fighting and just debauchery, like she's her whole life turns into like this pit.
She's got this really cool goth look going on.
She looks badass. And she looks built, dude.
She's got paint and
yeah. She's super built. I'm trying to get the Vi build,
dude,
when I'm in the
gym. She's got
shoulders.
The wraps on her fists. She means business in these episodes. She's just training and passed out, but eventually Jinx finds Vi and asks her to come help her save Vander. And she's like, what are you talking about? You're lying to me. Vander's dead. He's dead. But she's like, no, I have proof he's alive. And he's your dad too. That's why I'm here.
Yeah, I love that line. And why'd you come to me? Because he's your dad too.
Yeah.
It's the emotionality of these 3 episodes and the return of Vander, I think, is the main thing that makes it my favorite. And then the connection between Isha and Jinx too, I think, is what makes it my favorite 3 episodes of the show.
Yeah, and then literally the last time these two saw each other, they were trying to kill each other.
And it seemed like at that point that Jinx was basically ready to give up. Because when Vi had her dead to rights, Jinx was like, go ahead, do it. Mm-hmm. I think she's come a long way because a decent amount of time seems to pass in these opening, montages. So I think she's come a long way from that. And maybe her connection with Isha, Jinx has more will to live, so to speak.
More purpose, yeah, for sure. It definitely feels that way.
She even tells Isha in one of these 2 episodes that Isha reminds her of herself when she was younger. She says Isha reminds her of Powder, which is her younger identity, which I think is a parallel that we all saw, in the first arc of the season. But it's just so sweet to feel like Jinx is getting a second chance when everything's crumbled around her. She's lost everyone she's ever cared about. I mean, she lost Silco and Vi in season 1, and then in second arc of season 2, has a younger sister, essentially, again, who she obviously feels strongly about, and her dad's coming back, and she thinks there's a chance she can save him, too. And Vander, after losing 3 father figures, her birth father, Vander, then Silco. She's lost so much.
Yeah. So they go and travel to this, underground cave thing.
Which is really cool. It reminds me of the secret tunnel in Avatar.
Yeah.
But, they clap and, that.
All the lights come on.
The clapper.
Yep.
It's super cool.
And down in there, they actually say to each other that line that we were kind of just talking about in the front, how Vi is kind of slipping back and becoming mentally unstable. She's like, what would Vander think about, or our parents think about their mentally insane daughter?
Which one?
And Jinx is like, which one? Vi's like, oh, damn. You're kind of right here. So it's a cool kind of full circle moment where both of them are realizing kind of their new places almost.
Yeah, and I think that role reversal is kind of what helps their relationship to start to rebuild at this point in the show, because I think it's something every fan has been rooting for in Arcane, is for the sisters to actually come back together. And honestly, the biggest thing in the way of that was Caitlyn, because Jinx could never.
But this season for sure.
Yeah. But even in last season, that they reunite and they're happy together, and Vi literally says to her, I will never leave you again, something to that nature. And then Caitlyn shows up, and Jinx says, what are you doing with her? Because Jinx is still really holding on to what enforcers did to their parents, and it took an enforcer literally saving Vi's life for her to realize that there can be enforcers who are also good people. And now that Caitlyn's out of the picture, they can actually start to rebuild their relationship, because I don't think, it takes a lot for Jinx to actually come around to that, which we'll even see in the 3rd episode in the arc, because Jinx saves Caitlyn.
And then they end up finding Vander, and Vander smells the blood of Isha, right?
Yeah.
And so he's full charge right at the 3 of them, and Vi kind of steps in between and kind of fights him for a second, and then all the mystical light turns off.
Yeah, Jinx says, don't hurt him.
Yeah. And it was a really cool shot where she like lit up the lighter and it's like really
still
dark,
yeah.
and then like she looks off into the distance and sees Warlock and his green Warwick and his green shimmer thing glowing.
Yeah, I don't know what that is. It's because it's green. Yeah, I don't know what that is.
I feel like a shimmer, isn't that?
Shimmer's always been pink though.
Well, they have like green accents and stuff too, you know.
Yeah, I'll trust you if you say
Okay.
it's shimmer. It's what he's been working with.
Yeah,
That's what was in his bloodstream
affected
before he
him,
died.
yeah. Anyways, and we're like, oh no, he's defeated Vi or whatever, and then they show the front and they're actually hugging, and then all three of them join together.
She says such a good line where she says, "What are you waiting for? Get in here. You're his daughter too."
Yeah.
Full circle line to the beginning of the episode.
Yeah.
And oh man, that makes my heart so happy. I was like crying in that moment in the show to see the family reunited, even though everything that's happened to Vander and monstricized him, the love in his heart that still, overcomes everything else, overcomes the animalistic rage that he's been programmed with, because Vi literally has to drop her gauntlets and just put her arms out. And that's such a powerful moment in the show when Warwick just drops his guard and hugs his daughter because his love for his adopted daughters overpowers everything else. It's really beautiful. And then for the whole family to come together again with Isha now, it's my second favorite moment in the arc, which my favorite moment is in the third episode.
Okay, I feel like before we get to the third episode, we should kind of touch on what's going on in the other location in this.
Who gives a shit? Nobody cares.
But it ties in a lot to this third episode of this arc. So, in these two episodes, what's been going on the top side?
All right. Well, Mbessa has been working with Caitlin, and we see in episode 3 actually training Caitlin. Because basically Mbessa's pulling Caitlin's strings to get Noxus to have power over Piltover and Zon. So she has her armies controlling, taking over Zon. Her big brute guys beating people and getting information out of them because they're trying to destabilize the Jinx following that's forming because they see her as a hero. And then when she gets attacked and miraculously survives the Warwick attack, even though Mbessa, one of my least favorite characters, is just standing directly in front of that trolley that he bursts out of, and everybody he touches turns to mashed potatoes, she gets like a tiny scratch and survives, of course. And she is a beast, so if anybody's going to survive, it'll be Mbessa. She's a tough son of a bitch. But her and Caitlin go to see Singed because they realize his blood is what brought the beast there, that he created the beast. And they tell him that you got to give us information on where to find him or we're going to put you in a deep, dark hole. When that doesn't work, Mbessa comes back to see him by herself and offers him a job working for her. And she says, if you can use your talents to work for me, then I'll give you everything that you need. And I think there's an interesting visual storytelling moment where there's on the table, there's like what looks like a syringe. And then there's the pocket watch that belongs to Singed. And she puts her hand over the syringe, like maybe she would take a vial of singed blood and try to use it to recreate the monster or track the monster and use like her, baser instincts as a method. But Mbessa's really, really smart, and she's good at tapping into people's desires and understanding people, as we saw with her picking Caitlin over Sallow. She really understands people and understands manipulation. So she grabs the pocket watch instead and gives it to Singed later in the cell as like a sign of an olive branch, basically, like a piece, because the most important thing to Singed is obviously his daughter. And you see somebody has a picture of a little girl on a locket, you can assume that it's important to them. So she uses that against him, tells him to join her side, and now she's having Singed as her kind of war scientist to develop something to track the beast and potentially recreate this monster for her, because she recognizes that despite the fact that it completely messed them up, that it is a powerful weapon, and she wants powerful weapons, whether it's Hextech, Shimmer, Warwick, whatever it is. She is, first and foremost, a war general.
Okay, so that kind of brings us into episode 6, right?
Yeah, I think so.
This episode has the highest rating of the season at a 9.8.
Yeah, it's
It's
such
almost
a good episode.
a perfect 10.
The end of the episode, I think, is probably what really seals the deal on people's ratings, especially because the end of an episode is the last thing. It leaves you with that taste in your mouth, good or bad, and it decides mostly what you're thinking of it. The beginning we say decides if you're going to keep watching it. The end decides if you're going to like
Come
it.
back, yeah.
Yeah. And the end of the episode was so strong with varied animation styles, with great storytelling, and just dramatic tragedy that rips the heart out of everybody who loves the show.
So, what happens in the beginning of this episode?
So they being Jinx, Vi, and Isha, are taking Warwick to go to this healer prophet that they've heard about. That is actually Victor. So they're taking him to like this cult encampment because they believe that this healer could potentially fix what's wrong with Warwick and bring Vander out of the beast. Because he's kind of underneath the surface of the beast right now and can only control himself for the sake of his children. So they go to see Victor, and even though Sky, I think her name is, the vision of the woman Victor loves in his mind, she warns Victor against it. Victor says that he has to try to do what he can to save the man, the man inside the beast. And Victor tries to. It's like a long-standing process where he's trying to fix the damage inside Vander's fractured mind. And the Noxian forces basically arrive at the gate. They show up to attack Victor because he's not only to attack Victor because he's has a standing in the underground community. They want what he has, but also I believe that they're tracking the beast there.
Yeah.
They know that because Singe made that little device with his blood that is like a compass, and so they're trying to get Warwick as well, or kill or obtain him. So where do we go from here? Or do you want to talk about exactly what happens after that?
Well, no, I feel like we need to talk about your favorite character for a second. Where's Jace been?
Oh my God. My least favorite character. Oh my God. Jace has been in apparently an alternate Arcane dimension. And luckily for us Jace fans, we could have had Echo come out of there. We could have had Heimerdinger come out of there. What do we get? Of course, this piece of shit Jace comes out of there. Oh my God. Dude, if I didn't like him before, after this episode, I hate it.
Really?
The end of this episode, do you not? He ruins everything.
He does.
That's all he does, and every time he's in the show,
what his motivations were on this episode, really.
Because whatever happened to him in that Arcane dimension completely changed his perspective on Hextech, where before he was its biggest champion, and now he is, ironically, the one who's saying it's too dangerous, like Heimerdinger told him in the very beginning, and now he's turned around to that. And they also said that Victor said he felt a different presence in his mind. So his mind is fractured with something that infected his brain in the Arcane. Something else.
We get a pretty cool glitch effect from that, where his head's kind of ripping apart.
Yeah, showing the dualities of whatever else is going on in his mind. But he's just murdering people left and right because he kills Sallow. Sallow was healed by Victor, and he smashes him. He's like, "Can't let you leave." Smashes him just like a bug, Warwick style.
Yeah.
Bunzo beans, as some people are calling it.
But then
he's going after Victor.
Yeah, he gets out of the Arcane and goes to Victor's camp, right?
Because he's talking to Victor through Sallow, because Victor has this weird cosmic connection to all the people that he heals. And he tells Victor, warns him against using the arcane magical properties, which is another ironic twist, completely reversing their roles as well. Their Brotherhood storyline mirroring the way that the Sisterhood storyline between Jinx and Vi crosses trajectories is a really cool parallel in the show. And Jace coming back to this warring, differing philosophies in this fight with Victor, the same way that the differing philosophies and fight with Jinx and Vi happened throughout seasons 1 and 2, did make me like their relationship more and care about it more. But then he has to go and do what he does at the end of the episode and make me hate him again.
What does this man do?
Well, we got to talk about the fight that's going on in this little cult.
Yeah.
Because there's a lot of stuff that happens. So a lot's going on at the same time. Caitlyn and Vi meet up with each other again. And after a quick little fight, which have you seen the video about how the moves that Caitlyn uses on Vi are the exact same moves that Mbessa used on her in the opening of the episode training?
Oh, really?
It's the same 1, 2, 3 hit with the rifle and then the flip.
Yeah.
So
that's cool.
She's learning.
There we go.
But she also uses all of the properties of war that Mbessa teaches her against her in her plot. Like she uses guile and which is trickery. She brings a faux handcuffed Vi to Mbessa, which was a really risky play.
It was cool.
Yeah.
I didn't see it coming. Did you?
No, I did.
You did?
The way that me personally, the way that Caitlyn and Vi were talking and how it cut away, to me made it seem like they were going to rekindle and be on the same team. Because the last thing that Vi says to Caitlyn is like about saving her dad, and there's like a look on Caitlyn's face like that maybe she thinks she's going the wrong direction because Vi is trying to save somebody she cares about, and she does care about Vi. Even with how mad she was at her at the end of episode 3. So they reunited the two of them. They formed a plot together, and they set a trap for Mbessa and the Noxus forces. So Vi ensnares Mbessa and traps her. Meanwhile, the Noxian forces attack the cult, and so much going on at the same time here. Jinx is trying to fight them off. This is where we get my favorite moment in the entire show, probably. And it's when that brute is trying to attack Jinx, and he has the upper hand on her and has her pinned down, and then he just gets, boom, just clocked out the window. And Warwick says, "Don't touch my daughter."
Yeah, that was pretty cool.
Yeah, dude, I was screaming.
Full line.
Don't touch my daughter. That's such a great moment in the show. Super, super hype. And then we have the full out fight where Warwick starts losing himself, going after everybody after the reason I hate Jace now happens. Jace shows up at the exact same time that the Noxian forces are fighting the cultists, and Jace takes his big old arcane hammer and blasts a big old hole through Victor. Blasts him to pieces.
He does indeed.
God dang it, dude. I mean,
and that makes all of Victor's people that he saved kind of pass out.
They like wail into the sky and their eyes glow and they drop to the floor, which is they lose the fight against Noxus because that's all the people that were fighting. They're dropped to their knees, and all that's left is Warwick, Jinx, Sevica, Isha, Vi, Caitlyn, 6 people against an army, and they're getting slaughtered. And that's when Isha's noble sacrifice comes in.
What does she do? It's okay.
All my favorite characters have to die.
Do we know that she died, though? They didn't show a body.
I think she's dead. I think Warwick might be able to come back because she's like, doesn't have the resilience that Beast has.
Yeah.
So she takes we saw her take the little arcane orbs out of Vi's Hextech gloves earlier in the episode. She takes those and mashes them in to have 3 instead of 1 within Jinx's gun. And we have this awesome sequence of animation where they're cutting back to this kind of almost like childlike drawing style animation, like crayon style animation, with just memories of, and by childlike, I don't mean like bad, because it is beautiful, it's gorgeous. And, but it's just a cool, different style. And we're showing all these beautiful memories between Jinx and Isha. And you're like, no. Stop. And she's like charging towards Warwick, like she's going to sacrifice herself to save everyone, because she can see the sequence of events laid out before her where everybody's going to go down. And so she's basically doing this, it looks like, to protect Jinx, who is the main person she loves in the world. And God, that sequence is just so good. But she smoothly gets underneath Warwick, points the gun in the sky, fires it at him, and just a big blast covers the screen. We get this wide angle view of the cult compound with the big like arcane circle in the middle, and we see like a blast that it almost has this like nuclear imprint, like
like freezes onto the screen.
And it darkens, and then it like fades to black, and that's the end of the episode. So we don't know what happened to all the characters, but I feel like Isha died. Sierra's been telling me that she thinks Isha's going to die since like early in the season when she first appeared, and I've been in just absolute denial, telling her, no, I don't think Isha will die. Like, that wouldn't happen.
Well, if Isha dies, Jinx loses it, right?
Oh, she's going off the rails.
She's going to freak out.
Yeah.
Yeah, she's going to be worse than she's ever been before, right?
I would think so. I mean, she has a support system probably now that she hasn't had before. I don't think Silco was a good support system. I think he kind of encouraged all the negative sides to her personality, but I think Vi and Caitlyn won't be. But I think Vi and Sevica will be in her corner this time. Who knows if that helps? I think that her initial instinct will be to just go off the rails straight into violence, and that would be a problem for Noxus, because she's a problem.
Yeah. So this leads us into Act 3, which is the final act of this season, the last 3 episodes, and then supposedly this storyline is over.
Yeah, which there's a lot of theories about what that means. If that means that maybe Jinx and Vi or one of them will die. I see the ending of this. I don't know how in 3 episodes they're going to wrap this up where Zahn is like a paradise. You know
Yeah.
what I mean?
Maybe they don't.
Yeah, and I don't think that is necessarily the ending that we're looking at. Maybe some kind of happy temporary ending for Jinx and Vi, at least where their relationship is rekindled and they're on a track. Maybe they have like a common goal.
Do you think it will end happy?
It doesn't seem like the kind of show that likes to do that because every time I like somebody, they just blast the shit out of them. Victor becomes one of the best characters of the show and they put a hole in him, which Victor could still be around. I mean, he's more of an ethereal presence now. Maybe he has like a presence in the
I feel like he's not dead.
I think he might have. I think he might more be existing in the Arcane, the way that Sky is in the Arcane, and maybe he can like come back from there, the way that Jace has come back from the Arcane. You know.
Okay. Yeah.
Maybe he can move in and out of dimensions now. Who knows?
Yeah. Are we going to see Echo again?
I think they'll come back.
I really like Echo, and he's had like very little screen time this whole season.
When he comes back, I think he'll have powers.
Ooh, that'd be cool.
I think he'll have powers like Victor had his own powers. Because Echo has abilities in the game where he can manipulate time, so I think maybe he'll have some kind of time skip ability, which would be really cool.
That would be cool because he had that little clock on the bridge.
Yeah.
That was an awesome fight. That was in one of the music videos that I watched today. I was like, yeah, let's go.
Oh man, dude. So you think Isha might be alive?
I don't know. Probably not, but they didn't show Bonnie, so you never really know what's going to happen.
Likes to break hearts. I mean, they killed Milo and Clagger. Like the writers love to kill children. I don't know what their problem is.
Yeah, I'm definitely preparing myself for that to happen. You know, I think it's more likely than unlikely that that is the case. However, we've seen other characters come back, whether they're in the same form or not is a different story. Maybe she gets injected with something and comes back in some capacity. I'm not sure.
There's also a Mel storyline, but it's like,
Who's that?
Mel Medarda. She's in like the Black Rose Cabal little.
I feel like
chamber.
that's such a side story.
It's like a side story of a side story.
Yeah. Like, why are we?
I think it's because.
Do you think it leads into a lot of stuff that maybe will happen after this season?
Exactly. I think that because I've talked to people who play the game too, and they agree that the Black Rose Cabal and Noxus will be a big focus, most likely, of whatever story they're going to tell after the Jinx and Vi saga.
Mm-hmm.
So I think they're just setting us up, which is kind of annoying to spend time in this season on.
Well, I mean, that's kind of what they spent time last season, you know, with kind of all these politicians coming together and Bessa coming over. And now she's like the main villain of season 2.
I think this season is far better than season 1, honestly, which season 1 was already great. But I think this season's even better, and it's my favorite season of television I watched this year. I mean, I think it's better than The Penguin. I think it's better than The Boys, better than The Acolyte.
Are you all caught up on The Penguin?
No, I still have like 2 or 3 episodes left.
Okay. Because that's been getting basically the same ratings on IMDb.
To be fair, though, I do also have 3 episodes left of Arcane, so...
Yeah, so you're right around the same point.
The shows.
Didn't Invincible come out this year too? Do you have it higher than
the second half?
Do you have it higher than season 2 of Invincible?
I think I do.
Wow,
man, you put me on the spot here, but that's my gut instinct.
Wow, that's crazy.
You don't have recency bias problems though, too.
That is true.
But look at the animation of Invincible season 2 versus Arcane season 2. I don't feel like that department's a competition.
No, Arcane's far superior, I think, to Invincible. I was really hoping that season 2 we would kind of get like a step up from season 1. You know, where it's like, all right, more money's being invested. The show is a success.
They spent it all on the Adam Eve special. That was so spectacularly animated.
Yeah. Their fights were definitely very in depth. But even the style of that was pretty similar to the first season.
Yeah, I don't want them to change the style entirely. Just more movement.
Yeah.
Like the way Adam Eve is fighting on the bridge, that is a lot of movement.
Yeah, that was a great episode.
And I think that the voice work is obviously still great in Invincible, but I think that Arcane has stepped it up this season from season 1 because I've just been blown away all season by Ella Purnell and her voice as Jinx. I think she has stepped it up a notch. She was great in season 1, but I think her voice just has this tonality, this quality that really scratches an itch somewhere in my brain. And every time Jinx is talking, it's me, your big fat hero. Like, I love it. It's like she's like Deadpool, like Harley Quinn. Like she's a lot of fun and very interesting, and she's a very quirky nature to her voice.
Touches your inner psychopath, huh?
Yeah.
Andrew can relate.
In a way that
sees himself on screen.
In a way that Arthur Fleck could never.
Yeah, that's crazy. Definitely a good season so far. I'm excited to see where it goes on the last 3 episodes. Is there anything else you want to touch on before we wrap up this recap of part 2, act 2 of season 2?
Do you think that Invincible season 2 is better?
I think I was a little, because there's parts in Arcane where I'm a little not like unfocused.
But I think I think this second arc has done a much better job than the first arc. Like even eliminating Sallow was great. And now all the characters are in positions that I find more interesting than the first arc. Jace is more interesting. Victor as this, godlike, messiah-like cult leader with healing powers, and Jinx, Vi, Isha, Vander all together again. Like they've set everybody up where they're in the most interesting position. Even Caitlyn and Bessa, I think, is more interesting dynamic than where Mbessa was before, than getting a lot of screen time and a lot of nothing, in my opinion. I think everybody is more aligned in a direction that I can get on board with. Like, I also love when shows do what I want them to do.
Mm-hmm.
Like bringing the family back together is something that I would have only dreamed for in this show. That doles out happiness, like it's like a drip of water in the desert. You know?
Yeah.
But they actually did it, and it was so beautiful. They just stripped us of it so quickly. But that hug scene is so heartwarming.
Yeah. I feel like Invincible does a better job of spending more time with the main character and the side characters that I care about most. But I think Arcane does everything else. This season especially does everything else better, from the animation to the sound design to the soundtrack to the emotionality of it all.
Which you're usually like a production guy, I feel like.
Yeah.
You're the one out here telling me Joker 2 is a good movie because of the production. So pick a lane.
Well, that's what I'm saying. I'm going with Arcane.
Okay.
Yeah.
That's your lane. Arcane.
Yeah. Oh, there it is. You're getting all mad at me.
You sound like you're trying to hedge your bets against Arcane here, man.
No. I was saying the one thing that I liked about Invincible more, but
don't worry. Invincible season 3 will be the best season of television.
Dude, I don't believe you. I don't believe you.
Have faith.
Every time we talk about Invincible and what's going to happen, it doesn't happen. So I don't think that part is going to come out.
If they do Invincible Wars and like that fight is on par with the Omni-Man versus Mark fight at the end of season 1, that would be one of my favorite episodes.
I feel like we're not going to get it this season.
I just want to. I think we need to get there.
I know.
I don't want a boring season.
Yeah, me neither.
It's hard when you know what the best plot points in the whole story is.
I know. I feel like reading the comics has kind of ruined the show. Not ruined it, but
on the other side, flip side, we would have had to wait so long.
Yeah.
Do you think people who play the game have that feeling about Arcane? Because they know a lot of lore. You know, there's all these theories I could tell you about what characters they think are going to turn into this characters, or who they wish they saw but they didn't.
A friend of a friend plays this game and says that the show's pretty faithful to like all the lore and everything that's going on. So I'd imagine they know a lot of like what's going to happen and stuff. Like they knew Vander was coming back. They knew, this and that. So
they're also introducing characters in the show that aren't in the game and then adding them in as champions. Like Mbessa was added into the game. And I think they have plans to put Mel into the game, and Mel is not currently a champion.
That's cool.
But like Jinx, Vi are obviously very famous champions from the game.
I wonder how they like that, like adding into pieces into the story. Like, would we like that if they did that for Invincible? Maybe.
I'd be fine if they changed. I mean, as long as Robert Kirkman's changing it.
Yeah.
Our Lord and Savior, Robert Kirkman.
All right, I think we should wrap up this episode here. Let us know what you think of Arcane Season 2 so far. We have 3 episodes left. Andrew and I will be back next week to go over the full season, because we'll finally have Arc 3 out.
Back for the quadrilogy.
Maybe this will be the best season of television of all time right now. It's ranked super well on IMDb. Let us know again in the comments what you think. We post new full episodes every Monday and Thursday. Make sure you hit that subscription button and notification bell so you don't miss any of our videos. Last week, Andrew and I shot a cinematic Christmas challenge where we went head to head. We're editing that video right now. I think it's going to be a lot of fun, so you don't want to miss that. Andrew, where else can the people find us?
We're on YouTube, TikTok, Instagram, Facebook, X, all over the place. We're also anywhere you listen to podcasts on audio. So we're on Google, Spotify, Apple Podcasts. Make sure to go on there and give the show a rating and review. 5 stars preferably. Helps the show find new audience members. But the best thing you can do to help us find new audience members is to introduce us to your friends and family, especially those that love movies, TV shows, comics, and more. But if you want to get directly involved in the conversation, if you want to chit and or chat.
Directly involved with backseat directing?
Backseat directly.
How can we do that?
You can use the link in the description to go to our Discord.
Ooh.
And we're running a special holiday promotion right now, discounted rate. Aaron can tell you guys a little bit about that.
Whoa. We didn't agree to this.
No, it's a discounted offer. I texted you about it.
Yeah, I don't read your texts.
Oh, that's unprofessional.
Send me an email. All right, how much is this promotion?
It is finally this holiday season for a limited time going to be free.
Yeah, no charge at all. Just click that link and then you can join in on the Discord where we talk about different movies that we're watching. We go to the theater and tell our reviews of these movies. We have movie polls and debates and what else do we got going on in there? We talk about future episodes that we're recording and we take suggestions for future episodes. And then what were you saying?
I was saying people share their own independent projects and works in there as well.
Yeah, that stuff's a lot of fun. So if you want to join in on the conversation, click that link.
Thank you guys so much for watching, and
that's a wrap.